الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا محمدًا عبده ورسوله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة وتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد أيها المسلمون أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله تعالى وطاعته كما قال في كتابه الكريم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون وقال الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم اتق الله حيثما كنت وأتبع السيئة الحسنة تمحها وخالق الناس بخلق حسن ثم أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is everything to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes care of us. He took care of us before He created us, after He created us, when we were in the wombs of our mothers, and He will continue to take care of us until we meet with Him. Everything He created, He did it for us. He tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah, هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who created for you everything on earth. Everything on earth is created for us. And when He sent us His revelation, the first word was Iqra, read. One of the reasons why the first word was to read is first, how to know to worship Him properly, how to strengthen our relationship with Him, and how to benefit from what He has created for us. So it became mandatory for us to learn. So today, I will be talking about loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has provided for us blessings, some of which we are aware of, and some of them we are not aware of, and He's the only one who will always be there for us. Today you are with your parents, tomorrow they are gone, or you are gone before them. In the grave you will be alone. And the day of judgment, the only one who will be there for you is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when I say we have to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not a lip service love. It has to be love proven by sincere actions. If you really love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you should enjoy and cherish the acts of worship that bring you closer to Him. If you really love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to love those whom He loves. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you for this love. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَتَّخِذُ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ أَنْدَادًا يُحِبُّونَهُمْ كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that, among the people are those who take other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as equals to Him. They love them the way they should love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some people worship idols, some people worship humans. So what have the idols done for you? Have they rescued you? People like Abu Jahl and Abu Lahab, were they rescued by the idols? The mushrikeen in Mecca, they used to obstinately disbelieve in the message of the Prophet ﷺ. But whenever they were stricken with a calamity, they did not go to Hubal, they did not go to Allah, they would resort to the Prophet ﷺ, telling Muhammad, ask your Lord to relieve us of the catastrophe that is striking us. And the Prophet ﷺ prays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relieves them. But after that they go back to the practices of worshipping idols. So the only one who will save you is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The only one who will be there for you is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you should love Him more than anyone else and more than anything else. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala qualifies the believers that they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than anyone else. and more than anything else. He says, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. But those who really believe, they are stronger in love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you are a real believer, you should love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than anyone else, more than anything else. And even those whom you love, first you should intend you are loving them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is a quote that reads, if your love is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it never dies. So you intend that I will love my spouse first because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I will love my children first because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if the love is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are rewarded for it. Everything that you do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you perform it sincerely without ulterior motives, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards you abundantly. عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ثلاث من كن فيه وجد حلاوة الإيمان أن يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه مما سواهما وأن يحب المرء لا يحبه إلا لله وأن يكره أن يعود في الكفر كما يكره أن يقذف في النار. Anas bin Malik tells us that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم says, if you have three things, then you will get the delight of faith. If you want to enjoy the delight of faith, make sure you have these three things. First, أن يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه مما سواهما, to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam more than anyone else, more than anything else. Then you will get the delight of faith. Number two, to love someone for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no ulterior motives. You love someone, you treat someone well, you mentor someone, you help someone, you assist someone, you connect someone, whatever it is, the aim is to do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without ulterior motives. And number three, to hate returning to disbelief the way you hate to be cast into the hellfire. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. Make sure that when you die as a believer. So you may be a believer today, you may be a Muslim today, you may face tomorrow some challenges which will make you question your faith, and eventually you may recant your faith. So we should always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us firm on faith, and when to die, we die as believers. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used always to supplicate, Allahumma ya muqallib al-qulubi thabbit qalbi ala dinik. Oh Allah, the turner of hearts, I beseech you, I implore you to make my heart firm on your faith. وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. So as I say, it's not a lip service love. There are things that we have to do to prove that we really love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by so doing, not only will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love us, He will also bless us and confer upon us different favors, and we will benefit in different ways here on earth and in the hereafter. So if you really love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to read His words, the noble Quran, with understanding and reflection. Read the noble Quran with understanding and reflection. These are the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to treasure the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As I usually say, for example, there was an influential, popular ruler, leader somewhere who died. After 100 years, they discovered a letter which he wrote either to one of his subjects or to his relative. The content of the letter may not be so important, but because he was a popular and influential leader, it will be auctioned, it will fetch billions. A letter written by a mortal human being, just because he was influential, just because he was famous, the letter is discovered, auctioned, it fetches a lot of millions. How much do we pay to read the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Simply, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are priceless. There is no price tag on the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you really love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to treasure His words. If, for example, you love someone and you live in a country different from the country of the person you love, you will always cherish reading messages from him, reading letters from him, and this is just a mortal human being. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى, with Allah as the best examples. So if you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, read his words with understanding and reflection. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala criticizes or chastises the hypocrites, the munafiqeen. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Do they then not reflect upon the Quran, or are there locks on their hearts? The munafiqeen, they used to claim ostensibly they would pretend they were believers, but inwardly they were filled with disbelief. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would always expose their tricks, whatever plot they would devise to harm the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to collaborate with the enemies of Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would expose them. So why didn't they learn lessons? Why didn't they learn from the people who came before them, like Abu Jahl, like Abu Lahab? What was the end of those people? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Do they not reflect upon the Quran, or are there locks on their hearts? So as a believer, you have to interact with the Quran, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to cherish reading it. You have to love reading it. You're reading the words of your Creator, who is your Lord, cherisher, protector, provider, safe haven. He's everything to you. So when you read His words, you enjoy them, you learn lessons from them, and whatever lessons you learn, you implement them. You try your best to implement them, to prove that you really love and trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this love is coupled with reverence and with trust. Abdullah ibn Shakhir, radiallahu anhu, one of the sincere companions of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, says, أتيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وهو يصلي ولصدره عزيز كعزيز المرجل من البكاء. He said, I approached the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم when he was praying, and I would hear a sound like a boiling pot from his chest because of weeping. The Prophet ﷺ would interact with the Quran. When he read things that will happen on the Day of Judgment, the horrors that will unfold on that day, the punishment that will be meted up to the unrepentant disbelievers, he would cry. And when he read about bliss in paradise, good things that will happen to the believers, their immense reward, he would smile. And when he read about sujood, he would make sujood. This is what we call interacting with the Quran. So you don't only read it, you read, understand, reflect, implement, and share the knowledge with others. So by so doing, you prove your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by so doing, you get words from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whenever we read the Quran, we have to treasure the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to interact with it. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells us that if you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 3 times to admit you to paradise, paradise itself beseeches Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to admit you into it. So when you read about the bliss in paradise, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 3 times to admit you into it, to take you to paradise. The paradise itself, we say, Ameen, oh Allah, take him into me, admit him into me. And when you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 3 times to save you from the hellfire itself says, oh Allah, save him from me. So the hellfire itself is praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, invoking him to keep you safe from it. And if you remember, on the Day of Judgment, when the people will be cast into the hellfire, the unrepentant disbelievers, the hellfire, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask, Hal imtala'ti? Are you full? It will say, Hal min mazid? Do you have more? Bring them. The hellfire itself will be angry. How come the people disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who provided them with everything? How come the people didn't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who created for them everything on earth? It will be angry and it will be punishing. It will be raging with anger, punishing the people who will be destined there. But if you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 3 times to keep you safe from it, the hellfire asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep you safe from it. So when you recite the Quran, you read about Al-Jannah and the bliss that we will enjoy over there, pause and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to admit you into paradise 3 times. And when you read about the hellfire and the punishment that will be meted to the denizens of it, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 3 times to keep you safe from it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do it. So this is what we call interacting with the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you really love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need to perform the obligatory acts of worship and the optional acts of worship as well. So it's not a lip service, it's not a lip service issue. So when you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you love what He wants you to do. So when He says it's compulsory for you to pray 5 times a day, don't complain. So when it's time to pray, relish the moment, enjoy the moment, realizing that it is an act of worship that brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you really love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be keen to perform wholeheartedly the obligatory acts of worship as well as the optional ones, intending to do that to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without ulterior motive. In al-Hadith al-Qudsi, Abu Hurairah narrated that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, قال الله تعالى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in al-Hadith al-Qudsi, وَمَا تَقَرَّبَ إِلَيَّ عَبِدِي بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبَّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُ عَلَيْهِ وَمَا زَالَ عَبِدِي وَمَا يَزَالُ عَبْدِي يَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّوَافِلِ حَتَّى أُحِبَّهُ فَإِذَا أَحْبَبْتُهُ كُنْتُ سَمْعَهُ الَّذِي يَسْمَعُ بِهِ وَبَصَرَهُ الَّذِي يُبْصِرُ بِهِ وَيَدَهُ الَّتِي يَبْطِشُ بِهَا وَرِجْلَهُ الَّتِي يَمْشِي بِهَا وَلَئِنْ سَأَلَنِي لَأُعْطِيَنَّهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, there is nothing that will bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which will be more beloved to Him than performing compulsory acts of worship. So the compulsory acts of worship are more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than anything else, and they will bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He continues, my sincere servant continues to perform optional acts of worship until I love him. So when you continue performing optional acts of worship, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will love you. So He says, and when I love him, I am his hearing with which he hears, his sight with which he sees, his hand with which he strikes, and his leg with which he walks. And if he asks me of anything, I will definitely give it to him. I will leave you with a question you will answer yourselves. As human beings, if you are a leader, if you are a manager, in whatever capacity you are, when someone does for you something willingly without you asking them to do it, you will appreciate it more than when you ask or you command someone to do something for you. You are a manager, you commanded them to do something, they did it because it was compulsory. Yes, you'll be happy, but not like if they did their research to understand what you like, then they did it on their own volition, you will appreciate it more. So as human beings, we appreciate things which people do for us without us asking or without us commanding them. But with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's the opposite. He commands you to do something, you do it, He loves it more than the things that you do voluntarily. So you'll ask yourself, why? بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآيات وذكر الحكيم أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا محمدا عبده ورسوله. Brothers and sisters in Islam, the only complete love is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us. Because He has the ability to help us, He has the ability to rescue us in whatever situation we are. We as human beings, we don't have the ability to rescue our fellow human beings in all the situations. I'll just give you an example. Imagine you love your son, you treasure him, you love him so much. Your son loves swimming. You don't know how to swim. You take him to a swimming pool. It's only you and your son whom you love. No one is there. You don't know how to swim, and he is still learning how to swim. Your son drowns in the swimming pool in front of you. You don't have the skills of rescuing him. There is no one over there, yet you love him. So is your love complete? When your son is drowning in front of you, you don't have the skill of rescuing him, you will continue to cry, he's drowning. Your tears will not help him. Your sadness will not rescue him. So our love is deficient, it's not complete. The only love which is complete is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know very well how he rescued Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Musa alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam. He has the ability to rescue you in whatever capacity you are, in whatever situation you are. So we have to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than anyone else. Don't love your children more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the one who gave them to you. He is the one who is guiding you on how to take care of them. So don't focus on the blessing and forgive and forget the blessing giver, the one who gave you the blessing. وصلوا وسلموا على من أمرتم بالصلاة والسلام عليه عموما بقوله تعالى إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وارض اللهم عن الأربعة الخلفاء الراشدين أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن سائر أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أجمعين اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداءك أعداء الدين اللهم ربنا ورب كل شيء فالق الحب والنوى ومنزل التوراة والإنجيل والفرقان نعوذ بك من شر كل شيء أنت آخذ بناصيته يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم اجعل هذا البلد آمنا مطمئنا رخاء سخاء وسائر بلاد المسلمين عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون